Well, good afternoon, everyone. I love me some Leland playing just because I like the AJ riffing in the background, but I do love this song. It's a good song. Okay, um, I don't even know how to intro this next story. There are no words. There's no actual. I'm over here. I have read the headline 3 times. It doesn't get any less weird. Carrie, are you ready for this headline?
I think so.
I don't think you are. Are you ready? This is a news story coming out of 256 today. Huntsville doctor accused of in lawsuit of forcing his employees to shave his legs.
I don't see the problem. That's a weird.
What?
Hmm.
Okay, first off, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're like the love of my life. I don't care if you are paying me an obscene amount of money. If someone were like, "Oh, an AM, I need you to come in here and shave my legs," I'm gonna be like, "The what?"
Or you're fired.
Yeah, or you're fine. No, I'd be like, "Fire me!" Like, I keep saying like it's for I'm now my child. What? What is happening here? A new Madison County lawsuit makes jaw-dropping allegations against a Huntsville physician and two related healthcare businesses, including the claims that two female employees were repeatedly required to shave the doctor's thighs and calves. They were later fired by text after trying to stop being alone with him at the office. If you have an employer you can't be alone with because you're afraid, yeah, it's time to seek legal counsel and exit. That's what it's time to do. I am not a big fan of lawsuits, but there are a time and a place where you go, line cross. That's a no for me. And according to the complaint, which were put in as a Jane Doe and Mary May, which I'm assuming that I've never heard Mary May as a Jane Doe type name, but both kind of Jane Doe names. Names Dr. Edward Witt, who's a DO, and two connected companies as defendants. They claim that under the Civil Rights Act, their rights have been in EEOC charges that their rights have been violated. That it goes on. It kind of details some of the complaint, including, by the way, a pattern of unwelcome sexualized conduct in the workplace, inappropriate touching, sexually explicit conversations, repeated demands that employees shave his thighs and calves. Very serious. The explicit conversations, inappropriate touching, those things are serious and cannot happen in the workplace. I'm pretty sure the first time somebody asked me or a colleague to shave their thighs would be there would be one time, and then and then we'd be gone. Just that's a no.
But these ladies did it. They.
It appears they did. The claim
Oh.
the plaintiffs claim the leg shaving incidents occurred regularly over several months and served no legitimate medical or business purpose. What world could it have though? Like, I'm a doctor and I need my thighs shaved. Um, no, that's going on the weirdest headlines and news stories I've heard in a minute.
Some hairy thighs, I guess.
I don't,
Ugh.
I don't know, but I didn't know men shave their legs.
I don't think they do.
Or like, when's the last time you shaved your legs?
See, never, never,
Never,
never.
never. Yeah,
No.
this is the weirdest thing. I usually don't follow random lawsuits, but I might have to bookmark this one to come back to revisit later. It sounds like somehow the wife got involved in this, and that according to the filing, tensions escalated in June 2025 following a workplace interaction involving the doctor's wife. On or around July 9th, both plaintiffs refused to be alone with him at the office. Around July 10th, both women were terminated via text message. So they said, "Okay, we're going to go ahead and not let you not feel comfortable being around you. Uh, you know, no one industry is immune to this, but I suspect that if these allegations are proven true, the medical board might have and licensing board might have something to say about this. Okay, other headlines. I mentioned there are, tis the time, guys. Qualifying season is here. If you're not familiar, you're a candidate running under a party affiliation. You have to actually go to the party and tell them you're running for reelection. I did two qualifying stories last night. One was on Jeremy Oden. Most people, and it was a very catchy ad. Totin' Jeremy Oden he's a public service commissioner, but did an ad promoting the fact he's always toting, and that kind of became one of those kind of went viral. People were sending it all over ads. He filed to run for reelection for the Public Service Commission. He was actually a Governor Bentley appointee who then subsequently ran and has run since then and is now running against. He's being challenged by Sheriff Gentry. So that's the latest he is saying. So it'll be a head-to-head match, it looks like, against those two so far. We also had David Faulkner. I wrote about him running. You know, well, and not to throw Odin under the bus, but I am going to say this. So I was looking at his legislative record because he was in the legislature before, and he did change the something related to the contracts for contractors, upped the minimum amount needed for before you could do a bid a project. David Faulkner, by comparison, you look at the legislation, he's had legislation passed on a wide range of different bills. He carried Lulu's, the shark attack alert system. He carried an insurance bill. And if you're on 1819, and you scroll down to the bottom of the politics section, I wrote about Faulkner. He had just a list of, Alabama had to pass legislation, and it was HB 174 was a Uniform Minimum Wage and Right to Work Act, which said that cities, because you remember Birmingham was trying to raise their minimum wage. This was a bill that said local governments can't. We need, for continuity, for economic development, for an assorted series of reasons, local governments cannot set their own minimum wage or employment benefit requirements, making sure that there's consistency across the state, protecting Alabama's job climate. I mentioned Lulu's bill, which is the shark attack system, because you're on a beach down the way. There's already one shark attack. How would you know that the system puts in place an alert system? I get alerts. I get weather alerts on my phone. You can get amber alerts. You can get silver alerts. This put in place a system so if you are within the vicinity of a shark attack or a shark sighting, a credible shark sighting, I think is what it says, then you get an alert for that. One of the bills he passed, which I heard him talk, he went to a young Republican meeting and he was talking about this piece of legislation, was the Alpha Health Plans. He sponsored it in 2025. It allows the Alabama Farmers Federation to offer Alpha Health Plans, which gives affordable coverage for farmers, small businesses, and self-employed. That was a big deal. He also, and I loved talking to him about this, and he did talk about the computer science education. He sponsored legislation. This is David Faulkner, who's running for reelection. And I'm going over these things because here's something I'm going to really harp on. You're going to hear a lot from candidates and incumbents. One of the things they'll say is, I support, whatever X, Y, and Z, whatever's hot topic of the campaign cycle, and they change, whether it's school choice, because we are getting expanded school choice in this state, whether it's, Second Amendment rights, whatever. It's one thing to hear them say it. It's another thing to know what they've actually accomplished. If you go to the state legislature's website, which is, it's oddly named Allison, it's allison.legislature.state.al.us. You can just put in the Google machine, the Alabama legislature, it's going to come up. You can then go over to the middle of the page. It's like a little bingo card. Here's what it looks like when you land on it. Bill search. You can search by member, and you can see what bills your local legislator, your House member and your Senate member, what they have done for you. actually look, you can look by their name and see what they've passed and all the time they've been in the legislature. And I want to encourage everybody to do that. If you have no idea who your lawmaker is, don't feel bad. Some people don't. And maybe you're just watching, paying attention to federal things. If you go to the Secretary of State's website, you can put in your voter information and it's going to tell you every district you're in. It's going to tell you who your school board members are. It's going to tell you who your state house rep is, state senator, who your congressman, all of the things. It's really quite easy. I do it from time to time when I'm like, oh, let me verify this person because I'll hear a name and I don't have the whole list memorized. I know whose district I'm in. Redistricting got me a little sideways because I actually moved from my representatives. But take the time to do that, okay? Because there are people out there who are running for election on a record that doesn't exist. Yeah, you voted for something once it already, all the hard work had been done for you. Yippee. No, I want people out there with a record who's sponsoring legislation, co-sponsoring good legislation, and making sure it gets through. Faulkner, I don't give endorsements, but I saw this guy talk real deal in terms of what he's been able to do in the legislature. I cannot encourage you enough. There's not enough time for me to tell you how important it is during these election cycles. You don't trust the campaign ads. You don't trust the whether it's the radio or the mail pieces or the whatever. You go out there and you see what issues matter to you. You get to know these people and you ask the tough questions. I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, I'm going to go and I'll see what's going on in Washington, D.C. Trump is on his way down to Florida, by the way. This is gonna. I almost asked, have any of you been to a Marine One Land takeoff? I'll tell you, it was one of the few times where some of my family members got excited. I got to go to a Bush on the White House lawn, one of those helicopter takeoffs, and was surprised Condoleezza Rice was getting on and flying with the president. I don't remember where they were going, but it was one of the coolest experiences. I've had a number of DC experiences that were like, this is once in a lifetime kind of cool. And I got to do that when I was in my 20s. It's a cool thing. And it's even better as Trump stopping out there, taking the time to talk to the reporters as he's getting on that helicopter. Back in just a minute, you're listening to April Marie fill in for Andrew here on the line. Carrie hovering over the button for the camera as I took a long cat-like
I
stretch
waited.
over
I tried
here.
to wait
I
for you.
appreciate that. I was contorted over here. I've got so many layers on. I look like the a marshmallow man or something. I've got I've got a shirt, undershirt, shirt, then sweater on. I've beefed up since yesterday. I was gonna make an Andrew McLean size joke, and I decided against that at the last second. Yesterday, she looked awful feminine. Today, she came in a ball cap and hoodie, looking a couple sizes bigger.
But she's warm.
But I am. I'm sort of warm. I don't know why I didn't grab it. I have these great NRA jackets. I don't know if you guys know this, but if you once you get to life member, if you get up to a life member, and I'm going to sound like an NRA ad, maybe I'll talk about the NRA in a minute here. But you get a choice between a bomber jacket and a leather jacket. So I have this big cozy NRA jacket that I love. I will post a photo of that because it's my favorite thing. And then if you go up, there's different levels of life and membership. I think I'm on the your life. Then there's another one. I want to patron something. Then there's something. Then there's so four levels. I'm on the third level right now. It's at some point I'll get up to the top level. But the last level I got a second jacket. So now I've got these two cozy, my like winter, just cozy jackets are both NRA jackets.
You think you get a free gun or something instead of a jacket?
Could you imagine? And we're gonna just send you a firearm in the mail if you pay your dues. That'd be kind of wild. They should do the Willy Wonka the ticket thing where you get every time somebody renews their membership, some random person will get a firearm of their choice. I bet they could get
Some random person just gets a gun in the mail. What the heck?
Should you qualify, have you not had your Second Amendment rights taken away by a court system? I have very strong opinions on that too. If you have a nonviolent felony, I think you should be able to lawfully exercise your Second Amendment rights. I'm big fan of that. I think that too many people lost their Second Amendment rights based on nonviolent crimes, and that's just silly times. You don't lose your First Amendment right if you commit a nonviolent crime. Why should you lose your Second Amendment rights? If you are not, if you didn't not aware, I'm a huge NRA supporter. Follow closely all of the things. So of course there was the NYAG, and now I'm just talking about NRA because I was thinking about my jacket. But I last year followed very closely the resignation of Wayne LaPierre. Uh, Disgusted by some of the things that came out at the trial. Absolutely dumbfounded by board members who covered for and knew what was happening within the NRA and didn't do their fiduciary duty and stop it. So watched all of that. Then with great pride, I'm going to say that again, with great pride, watched the reformers, which are the people who wanted to restore the integrity of the NRA, watch them take control of the NRA board. There is a new fight. If you don't follow closely what's going on with the NRA, there's a new fight where all of the people who were implicated in turning a blind eye to what Wayne LaPierre was doing in terms of yachts and crazy spending and crazy contracts and all of these other things, they have now taken over the NRA Foundation, and the NRA is suing the NRA Foundation. It is wild. It is one of those buckle up things. But I am forever will be a supporter of the NRA. I think it's one of the most underappreciated civil rights groups of our nation. Really do believe that they will get everything restored. I know the people who are in charge over up there have the utmost confidence. As a matter of fact, there's a blogger, John Richardson, who's on the NRA board, who just at this past week's, it might have been 2 weeks ago, week of last week, their board meeting was added to the executive committee. Just some really thoughtful leaders trying to win back that organization and make sure they can continue to protect our Second Amendment rights. I mentioned earlier also that I'm speaking at the Bama Carey annual meeting, which is such an honor. If there has been gun-friendly legislation in the state of Alabama, Bama Carey has been on the front lines of making that happen. Whether it was permitless carry, whether it's beating back Democrats' attempts to infringe on our rights, whatever it is, they've been on the front line of that fight. I highly encourage everybody, if you're not a member, to get membership. This is not a sponsored ad. This is me as a BMA Carry member saying I love this group. All right, I'm gonna go to Daniel on the line. Hey, Daniel.
Hi, April. How are you?
I'm good. It's a free for all Friday, and I'm just spitballing over here about some of my favorite things, including the Second Amendment.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's one of my favorite amendments too. And I would just there seems to be so much misunderstanding about the Second Amendment. It's kind of mind blowing because when you read it in the context that it actually is, and understand what was happening in history at that time, it's very clear exactly what the Second Amendment was written for and why it is so crucial.
Yep.
Second Amendment is very, very clear, and that the part that keeps getting glossed over is it, it, it's amazing to me that people don't understand a well-regulated
I,
militia being
being
necessary
necessary
to
to
the
the security
security
of
of
a
a
free
free
state.
state. That's the part that keeps getting glossed over by everyone that wants to read it from the left.
Yep.
All they see is the right of the people to keep and bear arms. It's the necessary for the free state part that keeps getting pushed aside. And we have to remember during history at this time, the framers of our Constitution, these were traitors.
Yep.
The penalty was death for what they were doing. And they fought against the crown. It is to keep a tyrannical government in check. It's not just
Amen.
simply a well-appointed militia to be able to fight a foreign entity on our soil. It is to keep a tyrannical government in check,
The
more
right.
so to keep a government from imposing its will on
Yep.
the people,
The
which is
right
what the
that
key
protects
would
the
do.
other rights. It is the what you they take away our Second Amendment rights, and they can. It's a slippery slope. They take away all the rest. That's the one they go after the
That's
first.
right.
Yep.
He who controls the guns makes the rules.
Amen.
And that is why the brilliance of the framers of the Constitution, they were so way, way ahead of their time and had the foresight to be able to foresee that at some point in time in history,
Oh, we lost you. We lost you, Daniel. You don't see Andrew doing this, do you? I'm over here fixing my lipstick.
There's been a couple of times.
I'm looking over at the camera. I'm like, dadgum. I was eating my pastry. Have you eaten your pastry yet?
Half of it. It's very good.
It's so good,
It
right?
is.
It's so good.
I really like another one.
I'm really glad. That's the same place that I obviously got the cookies from. It's a problem. Can I tell you, this little strip mall in my neighborhood? I've got Saws. I've got this bakery, which is phenomenal, and there's a pizza place, a slice over there. I, it's a wonder. You don't have to roll me out of here. Okay, so we went to commercial break. Daniel was talking about the Second Amendment and how great it was for our founders to put this in the Constitution to protect this right. I would say liberals, but it's not liberals, idiots, because there's a whole lot. You talk to Democrats. I worked for the NRA in the field twice and went to gun shows. I was actually waddling around. My daughter, who's about to be 13 this weekend, I waddled around gun shows, pregnant with her. When you think of the NRA, a lot of people do not think of a woman who dresses and looks like me. But I was on stiletto heels and painted on jeans, running around the different gun shows, talking about the Second Amendment and how important it is we protect it. And more often than not, it was a bipartisan. Yes, I know how important this right is. Well, Daniel, you wanted to talk. I'd mentioned, we got Daniel back on the line. I had mentioned in passing the felons and losing their Second Amendment rights. You had thoughts on that?
Yes, April. So to me, it's kind of a misnomer that a convicted felon loses their Second Amendment right. They don't truly lose it because they can own and possess a gun. However, it has to be a black powder. It has to be classified as an antique. So they can own and they can possess black powder rifles and black powder pistols.
That I did not know. I'm gonna say pre-18. I'm looking at it. Pre exhibits antique firearms, pre-1897 or replicas that are not easily converted to with modern ammo. But state laws can vary. So I know this because I have a loved one that is trying to get his rights restored in the state of Virginia, and it says in what I'm reading, it says Virginia even goes further. But yes, and I am not a fan of. I'm not a fan of indefinite for everyone across the board that convicted of a felony losing their Second Amendment rights. Last year I talked about you can pass you can pass a school bus with lights on, and that's a felony in this state. I don't know how many people knew that. So you can use your ability to defend yourself based on passing a school bus.
Yes, I'm so sorry. I'm delayed a little bit. Hypothetically, you're 16 years old and you fell in love with a 14-year-old girl in high school. There's an age gap. That's if they ever convicted you and the parents pushed for it, statutory rape or anything like that nature, that's a felony. I think that there should be a pathway. I think each individual case should be looked at in its ownness. And frankly, if you're allowed to own a black powder rifle and pistol in the state of Alabama as a convicted felon, to me, there's really not much of a difference on the smokeless powder side, except for the ability to reload quickly. Short of that, it's still just as deadly. But in Alabama, unless there's something that's happened here recently, a convicted felon can own a black powder rifle and can own a black powder pistol.
Well, I am not familiar with that. I always like to preface things with I'm not familiar with that. But it looks like there's different. There's a whole. I somehow found a lawyer who has all the information about this. But I think there has to be a restoration path that's not as time consuming and costly as some of this can be. I believe once you've served your time, if you do not pose a threat to society, that is something that should be more easily restored. So I got big feelings.
I completely agree. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for filling in.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yes. now I'm going to go down this rabbit hole of black powder firearms and felons because yeah, there is a carve out for antique firearms and what that means. So, but again, it looks like it can't be readily converted to fire fixed ammunition. What a lot going on there. Second Amendment rights, guys, one of the most important things as you're talking to the candidates, it's not enough to say, yes, I support them. Uh, I always go a step further and tell me about common sense gun control. That's my gotcha question, okay? As soon as you say, if you say, do you support common sense gun control? And someone says, yes, big red flags, like ginormous, wave them over your head, huge red flags. Always ask them to elaborate because 9 out of 10, that is a very, very quick way to find out someone who's talking through their other side when it comes to Second Amendment issues. Oh, tell me about the wait. How long should one have to wait to exercise their Second Amendment right? Tell me about scary looking firearms. Let's talk about all of these things that are air quotes common sense that actually have nothing to do with common sense whatsoever. All right. So earlier we played the clip and I was trying to find more about it. Venezuela, the woman from Venezuela, um, giving President Trump her Nobel Peace Prize, which of course critics are like, you can't do that. But she got her Peace Prize. She won her award last year for her campaign for greater democracy. There's an image of President Donald Trump holding it. They basically had her Peace Prize reframed and gave it to President Donald Trump in gratitude for your extraordinary leadership in promoting peace through strength, advancing, and I can't read it all, democracy and defending liberty and prosperity. It's a picture of the prize and then it's got her name on it and today's date or the day she presented it to him. I literally could reach it back and in order to read it, I could get the glasses out of my bag, but I'm not going to do that right now. So y'all are just gonna have to take my word for that's what it says. I believe Paul DeMarco will be calling in this last segment. We'll see if he is working. Um, and so we'll see if he's going to come on. If not, we will continue our free for all Friday. Phone lines are open 545-9950. Election year qualifying happening. Jared Hudson has qualified to run for the U.S. Senate. And that is a race. Barry Moore was qualifying while I was on air today. That's going to be an interesting race to watch. A lot of people guessing about what a Trump endorsement might be. I I have zero inside knowledge on this. I know Barry would be have a lot of Barry Moore would have Congressman Barry Moore. There you go. In case those of you aren't on a first name basis with him, I'm not, but I still use it. He would have an inside track on a Trump endorsement, but I wouldn't count out Steve Marshall. He has also been a big Trump supporter. Very active in the Republican Attorney General's Association, led it at one point. I think that is a race for anything. Jared Hudson getting a lot of strong support from people around, especially this area where they know Jared Hudson. He's got a lot of law enforcement support, so that's going to be a fun race to watch. I'm personally also very vested in watching these Alabama races. So of course, Tommy Tuberville is going to end up against Doug Jones, which he will crush like the little bug that he is. Doug Jones had the opportunity to go to Washington D.C. and be a moderate voice for the Democrats, the Blue Dogs, which is what we need more of because we don't have a lot of them. But no, Doug Jones used every opportunity he had and squandered it to be a partisan hack and to support other partisan hacks, which is an incredibly unfortunate thing for his any potential career. He has an opportunity to get elected in the state of Alabama again. So we've got the Tuberville Jones matchup. Tuberville may very well get a credible opponent who self funds. I don't see it happening, but it could happen. Qualifying again, we're getting towards the tail end of qualifying. Lieutenant governor's race, that's going to be a free for all as well. I and still think there's going to be another person or two who gets in that race that we haven't seen yet. Secretary of State Andrew Sorrell was, of course, going to run for that, leave the auditor position and run for that. He was going to run against Caroline Dobson. He then dropped out of running for Secretary of State, decided to run again for state auditor, where he is face to face going against Derek Chin. Derek Chin had already gotten all these other endorsements, so that's going to be interesting to watch because you've got an incumbent against somebody who was running in what was supposed to be an open race, and there's Josh Pendergrass in that race as well. I don't think he's dropped out yet. So, all right. I am rambling on over here. We got two people on the line and just a little bit of time. We're going to take a break and then we're going to go to Paul DeMarco, who I just want to get this conversation in. You guys hold tight. April Marie filling in for Andrew. You missed it. I was doing my little Trump wiggle over here. If you're watching me on YouTube, sorry about that. It's painful to watch, I know. April Marie here, filling in for Andrew. It's been fun. I've been all over the map on my Free for All Friday, but that's what Fridays are like round here with me. We're going to go to the phone lines. Christopher. How's it going, Christopher?
Hey, April Marie. I just want to tell you, I enjoy you so much.
Oh, thank you.
You're a breath of fresh air, and I hope the radio station puts you on as a permanent announcer.
Well,
And
thank you.
I really do. I just, I think Andrew goes off a little too much with his hey nows and all his other silly antics that he has. I just like it straightforward. You got a beautiful voice, and you just tell it like it is, and that's what I love about you.
Well, I
So,
appreciate that. I'm gonna. I can't. There's no space in the lineup for me now. But I will encourage all of the traditional hosts to take vacations this year, more and more vacations this year, so that I can get to join you guys. Christopher, thank you so much for the call. That means a lot to me. Ending the show with listener support. Thanks for listening, and I appreciate you.
well, thank you, and I hope someday I get to photograph you or take a picture with you.
Oh, you're very sweet. Well, I'll let you know. We didn't do Christmas. I didn't do a Christmas party this year, but I'll let you know the next 99.5 event I'll be at.
Wonderful.
Thank you, darling. I
God bless
appreciate
you.
that.
Thank
Aw,
you.
have a great day. Oh, that was really sweet. I tell you what. Poor Andrew goes away for a day and they're trying to give me some of his time. Paul DeMarco on the line. Great to have you, Paul.
Ditto the last caller. You do a great job.
I appreciate that. Hey, before we get to our conversation, Joan Reynolds sent me an email asking me to let everybody know that the Shelby County Republican Party will host a U.S. Senate candidate forum on Monday, January 23rd. It's going to be at 6:30 p.m. at the Pelham Civic Center. It will give the voters the opportunity to hear directly from the candidate seeking the Republican nomination to U.S. Senate. Community members, Republican voters, anybody in the media will be able to attend. I believe I'm going to be there speaking to the last caller. I think I will be at this event, saying hi to buddies and listening to what the candidates have to say. So I want to encourage everybody to check that out. Now, you've moderated forums and discussions and debates, Paul. Looking towards this election cycle, are there any races you're particularly watching?
All of them. It's going to be an interesting election year. I mean, why narrow it down to one? They're all going to be very interesting, and you do that with the backdrop of what's going on nationally. And look, let's just throw this out here. If you want to see why elections matter, I'll give you two examples. Look at some of the just poor sentences that violent felons have been given and why it matters, why you should pay attention to what happens at the courthouses, who gets elected to the judiciary. And then look what's going on in Minnesota. The leadership, the violence going on in Minnesota is a direct result of leaders like the mayor of Minneapolis, the governor and attorney general and Congress representatives from Minnesota. Their attacks against law enforcement, they're encouraging this violence and making it worse. Leadership matters. Elections matter.
Absolutely. They really do. I went on a whole, so it's been a free for all Friday, went on a whole discussion about how the leftists, I did a story last night on these pro-Palestine, let's be honest, at least half of them are anti-Israel, to tell the truth, spreading Hamas propaganda all around these protesters on the University of Alabama, how clueless they are about how fortunate we are and how great a country we live in. I was looking at posters, and some of the same students who are involved in the pro Hamas group, they protested Donald Trump coming, and I'm going, you have no idea what you're talking about when you're saying he's a dictator or he's acting like a king or he's a whatever. It shows a lack of awareness of how great our country is. Do you see us being able to fix this?
You've got to have, like a lot of your listeners who are engaged, who are informed, who pay attention to the candidates. We just need more of that. We need folks. Look, most individuals are just taking care of their families. They're going to church. They're going to work. But they see what's going around, and that's why we need an engaged electorate to pay attention to what's going on. And from City Hall to the county courthouse to the state capitol to what's going on in Washington, D.C. Unfortunately, you see what's going on in Minneapolis and Minnesota, and these folks are electing people, and it's just anarchy.
That's pretty much what I'm watching. And again, with the same concept of, do you understand what a great country we live in, that you could stand there and peacefully protest, and you're choosing to not peacefully, not lawfully assemble, but to have chaos, to break into vehicles, to assault law enforcement and all of those things, and taking our rights for granted. I was talking earlier about Florida. There was a protest, I put in air quotes, a protester there who assaulted a state trooper, and the state attorney general and DeSantis came out and said, "Nope, don't try that in Florida. We are not going to have any of that nonsense." I'm hoping Alabama learns to do this as quickly.
I am I am hopeful and I am optimistic because I think enough people are starting to pay attention to poor elected officials who are not delivering what they need for good government. And I'm paying very close attention. Are the candidates making the promises that they can deliver? And so we all need to be watching that. And we need to ask questions. Look, Alabama's a small enough state that you get to meet all the candidates, whether running for governor or dog catcher. And we all need to take the opportunity to shake hands with those men and women running and ask them the questions that are required of them should they be elected.
Yep. You hosted that incredible candidate forum with the Mid-Alabama Republican Club. A lot of, one of the things that was said is this is going to be a session with a lot of non-controversial bills. You talked about crime, brought to my attention the horrific, absolutely insane sentence that a man got for sexually assaulting an older woman. What can we do to get legislators to take seriously concerns like this? It doesn't look like there is going to be a bill presented to change the sentencing discretion of judges.
What I guess what the problem is, it takes horrible cases to make the headlines to get the attention, such as the sex trafficking ring in Bibb County. So now you have legislation, and it's good legislation, that will require the death penalty for a rape of a child under 12.
I'm glad you said that. I didn't ask you before we talked on air. I'm Catholic. I know you're Catholic. It's very pro-life, no death penalty. But there are cases for a death penalty and where a case can be made for death penalty. And I think horrific abuse of a child should absolutely fall under that category.
Well, but here's the thing is, so that obviously huge headlines. It was terrible. It's horrible. Hopefully justice will prevail. But what I'm saying, because I pay attention to it, I'm just seeing bad sentence after bad sentence, and it just adds up, and it's upsetting because it's like these crime victims are not getting the justice they deserve because there's just so many weak sentences being handed out, not only in Alabama but across the country. And so we really need folks to start saying enough is enough. Crime victims should come first, not violent felons.
Absolutely. It seems like a no-brainer for those who aren't familiar with the case we're talking about. And I wrote about it in one of my stories, but I do not. I wrote about it when I covered the Mark meeting, that it was brought to the attention. If you haven't read that, you can go to 1819 News and just look up. I put that you asked that question.
Well, it was horrible. I mean, you had a 77-year-old woman violently raped, and thank goodness to some good detective work, they tracked down
the man who did it,
the rapist, and he ends up getting basically he's going to end up serving 5 years in jail.
Yeah, he's sentenced 20 years suspended and 5 to serve, and then they credited him for the time he already served, which was quite a which was
300 so many days,
yeah.
500 days or something, yeah.
And so you take that off, it ends up being such just ridiculousness on the part of the judge. Got to see some changes in our judicial system. You talk a lot about crime and crime victims. We got to stop these judges who have revolving doors.
Well, we all need to be paying attention to it because it matters.
Yeah, I have never paid attention.
That matters.
I've never really been involved in a judge's race, and that's going to change now. We look around the country at the people who are getting slaps on the wrist. This guy didn't have a rap sheet, but they knew he was involved in burglaries, but it doesn't look like he was prosecuted for those in addition to this violent rape. And I just enough is enough. I've seen too much around the country and right here in Alabama to say that these liberal Democrat judges who are letting these violent offenders off with next to no sentences, they got to go.
Well, a lot of important elections come next May and next November.
Have you heard anything about the open spot on the Pardons and Parole Board?
No, that's another important appointment that will be made by the governor since the resignation was just in the past couple of weeks. I'm assuming, the next 60 days
And
There'll
where
be,
does
folks nominated, selected, and then the governor will make the appointment. So we all need to watch that as well.
Absolutely. Well, we've talked about the judicial. We really need to do something about the judicial discretions that's allowing these violent offenders to walk. We have the election cycle. The U.S. Senate race is really heating up. I think that, and I mentioned that Shelby County Forum. Is there anything specifically you see where there might be somebody we don't know of yet? I'm suspecting that's going to happen in the lieutenant governor's race. Do you have any predictions?
Look, there's always a surprise, and this time next week by 5 o'clock will be the qualifying. Don't be surprised if somebody pops up on that last day or before. So every year there's always a surprise, somebody that qualifies that just kind of. So
We'll keep
let's
an eye
talk
out
a
for
week
that.
from today
Tell our listeners where they can find you online.
on X at _ Paul DeMarco.
All right. Thank you, Paul. April Marie here, filling in for Andrew. You can find me on X at APRYLMARIE. That's APRYLMARIE. Double first name, pesky double first name. I know. Go by both. April Marie. You are going to have Leland and AJ coming up. They'll catch you up on all the federal things going on. You guys hold tight for that.